build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. I'm Matty. I'm joined by John and Colin tonight. This is episode 113. John, how are you doing?
Tired, but other than that, I'm all right. How are
What's
you?
causing your tiredness, mate?
My beautiful 3-month-old daughter who's decided that she's going through, I don't know if you ever heard of this when you had your bairns, but it seemed like kids go through leaps and they go through regressions, and she's going through a leap now, so she's eating more and eating all the time and getting up through the night but she wasn't doing in the earliest part of her life. It's just a recent occurrence.
We never had much of the regression stuff. We had leaps and aggression. That's like the theme of the now.
She started discovering her hands a wee bit more, so she's starting to grip onto things. She was holding onto like this really small spongy ball earlier, but with that comes not just like the flailing head while she's trying to get used to her neck muscles. Like there's a wee sly punch coming out of nowhere now as well.
Good, that's what you need. Teach them young. What about you, Colin? How are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. I'm good, thanks. Just dragged my way for Gomorrah on the telly. You ever seen that?
No, is this like the sort of Italian version of Sopranos? I heard it described as that before.
Aye. I suppose it's because it's mafia based. I wouldn't say it's really like it is like the Sopranos, but it's a bit more sort of, I don't know, gritty, if you want.
Is it subtitled?
Aye.
I'll maybe get a
That's
good thing
fluent
about it.
Italian, so I'm all right.
Aye, so you do. Margarita, Hawaiian.
Pizza. Tiramisu. That's it. I've got loads of them.
Just right, like cappuccino. I don't know. Are we verging into racism here? I don't know.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
I was
Where's the on purpose anyway? Accidental. It's not like we're hands marching about the streets doing it. Right, what we're going to talk about tonight. So Hibs Livingston at the weekend. Before we do that, we shout out to Alan's Bakeries and Wrestle Rig with a silent T, John. Anybody that's been following our social media will see that there's been some chat about kebab pies after Short Bangers, no the one just passed, but the one before. And Aldo started making kebab pies, and we went and got some on Saturday.
I mean, technically speaking, it is a kebab pie, but let's give it the credit it deserves, and Raimondo Brun the credit he deserves. The Galatassa pie.
The Galatassa pie. Aye. It is superb. I would heartily recommend it. 15 out of 15 I gave it. Nice wee kick to it. I thought I was going to score down because there was onion in it. I'm not a big fan of onion, but I didn't really notice it. It was fab. What about you, Colin? What did you think?
I enjoyed it. I just had mine today. Been in the fridge since Saturday. But I think it was still in date. But it tasted fine. Tasted like what I expected, I suppose.
I think
nice chili sauce in it.
I think when Alan did his first batch of what he thought was going to be a limited run of 20, he'd said that he was only doing a limited run of 20 because if they didn't sell, he was worried that he was going to have to end up eating 6 for his tea on Monday night. So pretty sure they would have been in date. I think you're fine.
They were good. They were good. It made me think about what else you could put in pies, though, because you could, if you're sticking kebabs in pies, you could fucking do it. Really, you're just filling a wee pastry shell with whatever you want.
I mean, John was worried it wasn't going to be the right consistency, wasn't he? Because the meat was sort of loose rather than.
Oh, it worked fine.
Just needed something to bring it together, just something a little bit extra in there. And I think for what you're saying, Matty, with onion, it's worked out all right. And folk are getting it 50 to 15 all across social media. So,
apart from fattest prick, I could give it 9.8 out of 10. I think the 0.2 was marked out.
Was he using the metric system?
Aye, decimal. Aye. He was on decimal, John.
Absolutely. So it's rounded up to 15. He'll be working in mils. We're working in inches.
Aye, fucking join her there. I'll have the rain measurement system for it. Hello, Alex, anyway, if you're listening. Right, so Hibs Livingston back at Easter Road in your own seats. Colin, was this your first shot in your new seats?
It was, aye.
Was it?
So it was good. So I'm in the West Upper, towards sort of in line with the penalty spot, actually, as it turns out now, at the away end. So it'll be bit noisy on Derby Day and all that along there, because you're right, because we're near the front as well. Good view, apart from when the ball's in the famous 5 in west corner up that side. Biggest bonus for me is when you come in out the what's it called? Vomitorium?
Aye,
Hearts fans call it,
vomitorium. Aye.
come out of that, you come into my row. So at the end, I'm straight out and I'm straight down the stairs before any queuing and that, because that's what I'm about. I hated that in the famous 5 where I was before.
Was that a deliberate thing when you were picking your seat?
Nah.
Just
No
a
idea. I knew it was
happy
near the front.
accident.
Absolutely. I knew it was near the front, like it was CC or something we're in, like, so it's the third row for the front. But actually when I walked in, I thought, fuck, I've just walked straight into my row. So obviously when you leave, you're first out, and folk in A and B are trying to jump the seats to get in front of you, and you're like, you need to fucking wait, because I'm first.
Because I'm the big man.
But horses. So that's good for getting him. I was here for like 5:30. It's magic.
I think it's with the
And I
average
didn't
age
stick
of
to them.
the average age of the attendee to the West Upper. The jumping over seats isn't a quick process. There's nobody bounding over them. Like you hear cracks and things like that. It's like folks' hips going as they fucking manoeuvre
There was
their
a
way
boy
out.
tried to go down on the way in, like before the game or during the game. Actually, he was coming to sit beside his mate, and he tried to go from my row into the row in front, and twice he nearly went on the way down there. Because the first time he was saying sorry because he clipped me, but I didn't really kind of
Gives me the
didn't feel it.
absolute fear when I see folk clambering over the seats, like just because I've dislocated knees and stuff before. Like I just imagine someone's leg getting caught and it being an absolute horror show. Fuck that.
When you say
Happy
horror
with the
show,
seats anyway.
comedy show for everybody else.
No, if you saw a dislocated knee,
Oh,
no laughing matter then.
John, were you in new seats or back to your old seat?
I was in a new seat, more central in the famous 5 upper. So if you were looking out from where the singing section used to be, over to the right hand side of them, in a black executive seat. It was quite nice. We are just right at the top of one of the wee sort of stairways, so I've got a wee bit extra leg room. Where being the executive seats, I've got one of those wee call buttons for the concierge to bring me my brandy and cigars.
Excellent.
Big
Well,
queue to get out though, John. That's the downside for you, mate. You'll have a big queue
for
to get out.
these
Well, that was
seats
the
take
thing.
forever.
That was the thing. Obviously, there was a wee bit of, well, it wasn't a small crowd on Saturday, but it was quick getting out. And I don't know if that was part and parcel of the Beat the Traffic Hibs Supporters Club leaving on 80 minutes, or if it was just like the size of me and my mate clambering down the stairs.
I think there's still folks standing queuing for a pie ank at half time. They'd never actually got back to get back at the end again.
Well, I was back in my seat, and it was good. It was one of these things. Like, I kind of joke about the age, but there are a lot of old folk here in my bit. And when you think of the reason why we've all not been in our seats and everything that's been going on, there was that sort of, I wonder if everybody will make it back kind of thing. And I think pretty much everybody did. I didn't notice any notable absentees. Maltman was missing, but that was not for anything other than he's not quite at the stage of wanting to be back yet. But I mean, there's a really, really old guy sits behind us, and he was in early, and he would have, it sounds like a terrible thing, so he would have been like a prime candidate, But he made it, so it was good. It was really reassuring. Felt like home again. Like back where you should be, and amongst all the folk that should be around about you.
Yeah,
It's
that's
strange.
normal.
It's strange to see that confidence having built from the Arsenal game through the Coloma, the Rijeka game, up until the present day. Like, people are getting more and more confident about being outside. At least the people that are going to the football understand completely people's reasons for not feeling altogether confident about going back to East Road and being around more people. And I think I've said as much myself about taking a test every second day, the lateral flow stuff, just to make sure that now that I'm around more people and infection rates are creeping up again, that kind of thing, just to keep myself and the people around me and the people that I'm interacting with safe.
Aye, it was all good, and we were in early watching the stadium fill up as well. That was nice. Like always, like that at the best of times, but it felt even better being back in main seat and watching it. I was surprised to see Livingston fans as well. Colin, can you say that kind of quite noisy doing that end? I mean, probably no on Saturday.
No, it wasn't. But the East stand still filled up at 5-3 as usual. So everything was back to normal for that point of view.
Aye, everybody
You know, like,
piling in.
earlier the games in the season, it's been here's your slot to arrive. Saturday was like, fuck it, I'll leave the pub at 5 to 3 and I'll roll on the road to get him. Just back to 2019 stuff.
Aye, it's just good to be back. It was like totally buzzing. Felt quite emotional at first of it, but aye, the game itself then. So Hibs 2, Livingston 0. John, what did you make of the game?
There wasn't really much happened, was there? Livingston, I thought, were really, really subpar compared to our previous outings against them. I thought they looked. I think one of the hallmarks of Livingston teams in the last couple of years has just been how much they've got in your face, and they've been an energetic side. I think you might be. I think folk might describe them as a wee bit industrial. Like there wasn't a hell of a lot of football, but you could always guarantee that they were going to put in a lot of effort. And I never really saw that. They looked really. In fact, I think I'd said to Raymond, because he popped over at half time to say that Livingston looked shit, really, really shit. I know that sounds terrible, but I don't know how else to describe it. Obviously, they had a couple.
Quite accurate, to be fair.
They had a couple of issues with a couple of players. I think they had 2 players, I think, being sick at half time. And just before half time, I think one of their players had a diabetic fit and was taken away in an ambulance after the game. So hopefully he's all right.
That he got booed. There was a bit of chat about that. I saw it on the forums. I never noticed if they talked about it at Hibs Bounce, but on Hibs.net there was a thing about how sporting it was of the Hibs fans to boo the boy. Obviously, none of the fans kent that the boy was having a diabetic fit, but they'd been going down fucking easy all game. And I always think, like, see, it's like the boy who cried wolf, innit? Yeah. Like, when something serious happens, you can't really blame the fans for thinking you're fucking at it. But obviously, you hope the boy's all right. So, aye, Colin, what did you think? What did you think of Livingston's tactics for the game?
Aye, well, I think we're just going to have to get used to that this season. I think at home we're going to have a lot of teams coming in and sitting playing like that because they obviously just came to limit the score or to try and sneak a 0-0 or a free kick or whatever. It's dull, one-sided sort of game, wasn't it? But the good thing was we never panicked or started launching it or anything like that. Still try to play and get the ball out wide and do what they do. So I think that was a positive for that point of view. We changed it was probably forced into that change formation just before half time, Jack Ross, but he might have done it anyway because to try and change things but for the second half. So I think Murphy getting injured allowed them to go back to one up front, which sounds a bit mental when you say you put one up front to try and break them down a bit more, but it's like you've actually got 3 up front, haven't you? Because you're because of the way you play, because of the way we play with the 2 wide men like that. So I think he might have made that change anyway, but it was as good as I say. I don't think we're going to get. I think we're going to get a lot of games like that this season at Easter Road.
I thought we were really comfortable. One of the things that I saw on TV, I think if this is appropriate to say, like, with Martindale, right? So I think I've said on the podcast before, I reckon Martindale's a total fraud. I think his depth at that level, and he had a really good start at Livingston. Everybody bought into him, like made a big fuss about him, but I think he's been shite after those 12 games. Sure, somebody said he's only won like 2 or 3 since then. And I noticed, I think if he's doing this at all his games, but he dressed up kind of like Jack Ross for this one.
I saw that because I associate Martindale with tracksuits, with the big quilted Arsene Wenger jacket kind of thing. And I looked over at the touchline, I went, "Is that Martindale?" Because he had the trousers and the jumper on.
Did you see him on Sports Scene?
He gave the fans a wee wave, but his t-shirts, my t-shirts, coming up over his belly.
Aye, that's what I was just going to say. Belly out.
Aye. It
wasn't his jersey he was wearing. It couldn't have been his jersey. If you're dressing up the other day and you bought yourself a nice new jumper, you're going to get one that fits, eh?
Aye. He didn't quite out Jack Ross anyway. Like, that's safe to say. Scott Allen came on. What did you think his performance, John? I think he staked a claim for staying in the starting 11.
Maybe. I think
you just sit on the fence with your answer, John.
Let me. I think when Scott Allen came on, And I think this has been evident in the games that or the appearances that he's made so far, is that he looks a wee bit tentative in everything that he does. It's almost like he's maybe overthinking things, or maybe trying to play the Scott Allen ball, and he maybe just needed to get a couple of passes under his belt. But as the second half progressed on Saturday, he definitely, to me, looked far more comfortable and far more like the Scott Allen of old. And I think that was exemplified by the ball that he played for Martin Boyle. I think Scott Allen's talents are in his awareness, his vision, and his ability. And all he's done there is something very, very simple. Don't get me wrong, like it looks beautiful to the football purists or whatever, but it's very, very simple. He's just played a ball into a runner, but he's weighted it perfectly. Like Martin Boyle hasn't even had to break stride. And don't get me wrong, like it was a brilliant finisher and what have you, but it was just phenomenal for Scott Allen to exemplify all these wee things. And Hibs commentary, you know how they do like the pitch side highlights?
Yep.
Never noticed it at the time, but Scott Allen's first instinct is to go over and give Martin Boyle the wee cuddle, and then it's almost like he goes and has like a wee celebration of himself. And I think it'd probably be fair to say there's been a lot of doubts amongst a good proportion of the Hibs support about Scott Allen's, whether he's still Scott Allen, because he's had these documented health problems, and whether he's going to be able to be that player going forward. And I think we got to see that. And hopefully that wee celebration that he had to himself, a wee sort of fist bump as if to say, fucking still got it, that he can go and deliver that. That's a different answer to the question he asked, but I think there's a chance that we've still got that player that we maybe thought we'd lost. So that creates that. I think when we talked about it before with Kyle McGuinness is playing that more advanced role now. But we're looking for competition for places all over the pitch. We've got a ready-made replacement if Kyle McGuinness ever happens to, be suspended or the usual reasons. Scott Allen just slots right in there. And as Colin had mentioned before, like the formation that we're playing, like just that one up front, it seemed a bit odd to me that we were going to have McGuinness and Allen playing sort of like it was like two number 10s kind of thing. But it worked.
Colin, you mentioned that Jack Ross maybe would have made the change anyway. Do you think that was the catalyst for us going on to win the game?
No, I think we would have won the game anyway. Mm-hmm. I think it was the goal was going to come, but I think it just changed. We could see how Livingston had set up and putting Allen on, because it obviously the like for like was Mackay, wasn't it?
Yeah,
on straight on for Murphy, but drawing Scott out to the side and bringing Allen on. I don't think he'll start in the derby. Like if you're talking, is that I'm going to be in the first team, but I can see him maybe starting a few of the home games this season against the St Mirren, Dundee's, Livingston when they come back. The sort of bottom, certainly the bottom six sort of games at home when teams are going to come and sit in, because he's got that probability that no many of the others have got. That back heel, how many other players in the team would have seen that? It looks simple and easy. The defenders didn't clock it though. You know what I mean? So it's no that obvious. I don't think if we've got many other players that could do that. So and that's the kind of game where you're going to need it more as well.
Aye.
Jay Wright maybe aye.
Maybe you're going to be flicked in it for what was the goal that we scored? Nisbet scored the.
Oh, against was it Coloma?
Was that a Coloma? Might have been Peach goal, but aye, a nice wee flick for Jay Wright in that one. Paul McGinn, John, got a bit of stick after the Dundee game. How do you think he did on Saturday?
I think the stick. So, Livy players being sick at half time. I wonder if there's maybe just a bug. I don't know exactly how it would manage to work its way through the various clubs in Scottish football, but Paul McGinn was sick. I think he was sick twice in the Dundee game, and that was why he didn't reappear after half time. I think some of the stick he gets is maybe justified. Like I don't think he had the best game against Rijeka, or it was Coloma, it was Rijeka, where there was an easy cross came in and beat him. But his contribution going forward this year, he played in Nisbet for a goal a couple of weeks back, and his ball this time for Nisbet was another belter. Just gave it to the danger man.
Mm-hmm.
And Aye, like there's things that he could do better. I don't think anyone's saying that he's perfect, but the stick that he comes in for, like most Hibs players, most of the time, it's just unwarranted.
Aye. I thought he was good. What were you call him?
So I didn't get a bit of foot wrong. I think there was one point the boy maybe went past him off easily at once. And I only remember it because my brother-in-law said to me, "Oh, you shouldn't get skinned as easy as that." And I thought, it's because he's kind of one of these unfashionable players that when he makes a mistake, he gets highlighted a lot more than when the more popular ones like Purchase, for example, it doesn't get highlighted as much. You know what I mean? Purchase like diving in on the boy and getting the free kick away in the edge of the box and all that. It's no moaned about as much as when McGinn gets skinned by a winger.
Aye. And,
You know,
and
and it's
defenders
like,
get skinned by wingers. That's what happens. Like football
It was
would
once.
work if they didn't.
aye, that's right. It was once in the game. You know what I mean? It wasn't. It wasn't like it was continual, and you're going, "Fucking get him off." This boy's got him on toast. It was once he got maybe caught off balance or whatever, and the guys went past him. I just think he's one of the. It's like Stevenson's had it for years as well, isn't he? It's like no fashionable enough. Scott Allen makes a mistake, everybody just forgives it. If Liam Craig does it, everybody boos him off the park. You know what I mean? There's
Aye.
history for it.
There's a long history of it. Purchase, you mentioned him there as well. 100th appearance on Saturday. John, how would you have assessed his performance?
On Saturday or collectively over the 100
Oh,
games?
well, do whichever one you want.
15. I thought, like Colin said, I think he made, I don't know if you'd call them mistakes. There was a couple of times I think where he's not quite dealt with the ball as well as he probably would have liked, but it's not resulted in anything. So you kind of go, right, okay, like learn for that next week and try not to do it again. But I think he's had a pretty good start to the season, all in. Admittedly, I am tired, so if I've forgotten anything, please don't slaughter me. But I can't think of anything this season that he's done anything like the St Johnstone game where he gave the ball away, where folk were saying, "Get him fucking sold."
Yeah.
I think the boy that we were looking to replace him with potentially was Jason Kerr, who I think has got twice as many appearances. So rather than going out and spending the money from elsewhere for a defender who plays for a team that finished below us, can we continue to try and develop the boy that we've got? With a view
St
to...
Johnstone they're on a great start to the season, though. St Johnstone, they're on a great start to the season. The BBC called out the other day, didn't they? So continued that unbeaten.
What was the result of the weekend, Colin?
St Johnstone drew. I think is that the catchphrase you were trying to get?
No. I saw a thing on Twitter the day somebody just they'd clipped the picture and you had to click into the picture to see what it said, but their tweet just says, "Nah, you're all right, mate." And you click the photo the photo to make it bigger, and it was St Johnstone Nelson Mirren now view highlights.
No thanks.
Purchase's free kick. There was one of the highlights of the moment for the match for me. Is you see the how quickly he went to get the ball, and he was like, "It's fucking mine." He placed it, and there was
like he was very, very determined. Like, you fancied that.
About. Everybody's looking around, going, "What just taking this?" Where I was sitting, "What just going to take this?" Well, I thought he was going to try and knock it under the ball when they jumped. I think that's what I'm trying to give him benefit of the doubt here.
I said to Josh, I think he's going to absolutely lash it. It's going to like bullet in. And then obviously it didn't happen. The referee gave a free kick right away, and then folk were kind of wondering what the free kick was for. It sort of signalled like it might have been offside. And then there's a rule about you're not allowed to join the wall if you're the attacking players. So it might have been that. But I think the referee just gave it for the anticlimax. Because he had everybody's hopes up, and they've not had anybody's hopes up at a free kick like that since the days of Paku Jabi.
I'm not totally against someone like Poch stepping up and maybe just occasionally having a crack at it. Like, I know that there'll be folk that are just raging at it because they'll think of it as a wasted chance, but when you think about the variety, the number of different players that are stepping up, like if Poch was to step up again, folk are thinking, well, he's just going to smash it, and then potentially Nisbet steps up, maybe Poch goes for the step over and Nisbet or another comes up behind him and hopefully has a better effort.
I no problem of taking it. Like it obviously practices them. Like if you're going to take one in a match, you must be confident in it. There's better players than Ryan Purchase if I can hit a wall with a free kick, haven't they? It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Unless he was trying to plant that seeded out in the defender's mind that he was just going to step over the ball and then carry on and fucking slide tackle them.
Maybe we should have just done the slide tackle and sent it in the top corner like that. Just jump 2-footed into a free kick.
See here, can I before you move on? But Porteous, I like him, right? But I think he's, this season he seems to be trying too hard to catch the eye, with taking the free kick or shouting at the ref, like so everybody watching me, look, I'm shouting at the ref and that, like, or I'm shouting at the goalie because he's not done what I wanted him to do, or I don't know. I don't know what his game is. If it's he's trying to raise his profile, or if this is him trying to be a leader, or what he's thinking it is. But
Should
I
be
just
just thrown
think
into it.
I know, but it's just
Do you think
shouting.
he's more than that?
I don't know. It just looks like he's shouting. Like, he doesn't look like he's for any real. I don't know what he's thinking he's got to gain out of it, or Hibs have got to gain out of it. I don't know. There's just something about it. And then he still like dove in at that tackle at the boy as well. And you think, fuck me, that's 100 games, and you're still chucking yourself in there.
You
Like,
would have had a better view of that one. Was it a free kick? Because for our seat, it looked like he got the ball.
well, it didn't look like for me, but I just dove in. We all went, for fuck's sake, no one had done it.
I think the diving in that you're talking about, Colin, I thought that was something that was evident, like it was regular during the earliest part of his career.
Yeah.
But that, like the diving in on Saturday there, I don't recall that for a few games, like a good few games now. I don't know, Matt, you might be able to. Like, I genuinely think that that's something that he's removed. Like, he's just better. He's just learned.
Yeah.
I think he'll
had a really good game. I thought he would have walked off quite happy. He was one of my contenders for man of the match on Saturday. I thought he absolutely strolled it. One missed the kind of. He gave away that free kick, and that could have been costly, I suppose, on another day. But it wasn't. So he brought the ball out
as
well.
Did they not dribble out with the ball and lose it at one point as well?
There is a couple of times where, to be fair, it's one thing I think. One bit of constructive criticism is that he can do really, really well in winning the ball and then coming out of defence with it. But the pass afterwards, like finding a Hibs shot, that often goes awry. I'd like to see him work on that a wee bit more, because it's such a good thing. Like what he does in setting up an attack, it just as quickly breaks down, and then he finds himself out of position, and then there's a gap in behind.
Which is then might dive in as well because of that, try to make up for it. I don't know. I'm not. He's still youngish, but he's played 100 games now, so he should be like, if you've played 100 games at first team level, it shouldn't really matter what age you are anymore. Like, young shouldn't come into it. You've got 100.
Yeah.
How many games have you played? But what is he? 19, 20. But if you've played 100 games, then, and he's been about the first team a lot longer, he's been injured in that period as well. I just think my expectations are a wee bit higher now than I think he gets away with quite a lot. I think the fans like him. He's a happy. He's vocally shouting and that. But I sometimes look at him and think, you're just shouting for the effect rather than for a reason.
That's the thing though. Like, all footballers that shout at the referee that try to change their decision, are any of them ever successful?
No, there's a way to do it. I mean, look at McGregor, right? McGregor. How often do you ever see McGregor shouting at the ref? You look at. Try and learn for the boys he's with. I don't know what he's doing it for. I don't know why it is. I don't know. I think this season I've noticed it a lot more. It's
no pleading, but he's definitely sort of remonstrating, like the hands. Like we don't know what it is that he's saying, but you get a sense for his body language from sitting in the stand from far away. You're kind of like, really, what are you saying? But I actually don't mind them having that conversation. I'd rather it was that he was just having a word with the referee to say, listen, because it seems to be, especially after Hibs players have been on the end of
bad tackles.
A bit of attention, bad tackles for the opposition. That's when he tends to be having a chat with the referee. But again, it's kind of like, well, what are you going to do about that?
Yeah, but the thing is, what they'll do about it is go, next time he puts one of his tackles in, they'll go, that's that cunt that shouts at me all the time.
Aye.
Red card straight.
You tell me to clamp down on this.
Aye, have a taste of it yourself. What about the referee on Saturday? I'll not say what I thought about him. I'll let you to say a good, bad, or indifferent call.
He's a cup winning referee, isn't he? Cup winning referee.
Well, that does buy him a bit of leeway.
Yeah, because I said that looks like Stevie McLean when we were sitting moaning about him at one point. I was like, I'm not criticising him anymore because he didn't get that penalty against Louis Stevenson back in the day. I think that in games like that, what we need is the ref to get the yellow card out earlier. Like, and then that'll calm them down, but it'll stop them being as willing to put the heavy tackle in or whatever. And he never done it, and that's what probably allowed it to go on for longer than it should have. The sort of delaying tactics, the tackles and whatnot. But I can't get anything major he got wrong, like, really. But prove me wrong. But I can't
I
think
guess he
anything.
to ignore a lot of, like, and even not just one way. I mean, Raymond talked about on Quick Bang, the McGregor catching the boy in the first half, kind of the boy ended up injured. Now, I'm not convinced he caught him, but Raymond said it was right in front of him, and he was pretty certain that he did. But it looked a fairly obvious foul if he did catch him. Do you know the incident I'm talking about? Kind of McGregor, I think, had lost the ball. Or
Was that the free kick on the edge of the 18-yarder, or was it the one out to the left? Or
so it was out to the left. The boy went down injured, but McLean never gave anything. He just says, like, fucking play on. And I think it might have been when I'm not sure if that was when the boy went off or. No, he didn't. He played on a wee bit after that and went off no long after. But there was some kind of fairly meaty challenges going in that looked fairly obvious fouls. The referee was just ignoring.
Yeah.
Aye, there was the one that I had the raised eyebrow about was the one that you just described, because it wasn't a foul and it wasn't a dive. And I know that there's a grey area in between where it's kind of like a fair challenge just because you've gone down.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that it's not a fair challenge. But there was the one from, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Is it Obalai? Used to play for Queen of the South. He's come through the back of Nisbet, like properly clattered him, and McLean's never bothered his arse about it.
remember
And
that
I think
one.
there was a few other incidents as well. There was the other eyebrow raiser as well. It was Sibbald when he went off. So if you remember when Murphy went off, he went, and I thought this was a new rule this season. Someone will correct me.
Aye,
Murphy went off at the nearest available point. So
Aye.
Sibbald decides he's going to walk across the pitch, takes the break, and then keeps going. It was almost as if he said to the referee, "No, I'm going this way," and McLean went, "Aye, that's fine."
Yeah.
So I
we
couldn't
were
have worked
winning
that
at
one
that
out.
point away. Like normally you'd be going Raj because it's time wasting, but like what's the point in time wasting at that point? You're losing.
It's just, I think one of the biggest criticisms of Scottish ref is the inconsistency with which they apply the rules, and we talked about it last week and the week before. It was Bobby Madden and the serious injury,
The hamstring.
the hamstring, and just what as fans watch the game, because that's one of the things that kicks us off is what are you doing? Why are you allowing that? Because our understanding, the way that it's been applied in this game or in the weeks prior, is you go off at the side of the pitch, the closest point. And Sibbald just fucking
The only reason they
went
don't
along.
do that, exactly, the only reason they normally don't do that, right, and I don't know if that would have been allowed in this game, is see if it's a derby, see if it's next week at the derby, or whenever it is a week on Saturday, and Boyle has to go off, he would walk across the pitch to the dugouts rather than have to go round past
all the fans. Aye.
Same for Rangers or Celtic, but I can't, I don't know if that would be a reason for it, because he's an away player and he'd have to walk past all the Hibs fans to get back to the dugout.
Wouldn't think it like Livingston at Hibs. There's no as if anybody's going to go for the boy.
No. But it would happen in a derby and that. So.
Aye. Sybil looked like he was giving off a lot of heat for his face though. So
that's because he's got more face on display because of that stupid haircut.
It was maybe for fans protection. Can folk
enough
sunscreen on.
I'm sure he was the one. So he was the one that walked off really slowly and then sat on his arse at one point.
Aye.
Celtic up and then walked off really slowly. As soon as he got off the pitch, he ran down to the tunnel.
Did he?
Like, aye. Like, he thought, you just walked the whole way, mate. I assume he was busting on a shite or something. Like, maybe that's because he maybe had the bug. Maybe had the bug. And he's got to the side. I need to run now. Like, it's...
He could have done a Lineker. I think Lineker didn't think that the Ducks did. It's a World Cup. The arse shuffle. Like when he's on the grass.
I only found out within the last couple of years, and someone said that Lineker had the shites and he'd scooted his arsehole on the deck. I was like, no, bullshit. I'd have heard of that, surely. And no, it was true.
It's a funny thing because you'd think like in most walks of life, if you shut yourself in public in front of an audience of millions, you probably wouldn't be still working in TV years and years later. Kind of quite well respected as well, eh? But
Paula Radcliffe's still in the Olympics and that as well.
Right enough.
She just pulled her drawers to one side, the side of the road. Just like...
Equal opportunity jobbing.
Aye. I wonder, I suppose folk could probably text us in the kind of interesting places that they've shit themselves with that. So 80295, just tell us, was it a number one or a number two? And where were you? Right, the goals. The first goal for Nisbet, we kind of talked about. Ball in from McGinn, found Nisbet. Nisbet did the rest. Much else to say on that goal, Colin?
Nah, really good play for Nisbet, poor for the defender, and it was a nice finish. But the goalie should, if that was your goalie, you're going, that's not even in the corner. You know what I mean? So it was a good bit of play for Nisbet though.
I think Nisbet used as a defender. Do you know how sometimes they use him like as a marker and just pass round them?
Yeah,
like
he made
that
it look
to
dead
slot it in.
easy. And you're thinking if that had been Hanlon or whatever at the other end, he would have been getting dog's abuse, and so would Macy if he had let that in.
Aye.
But he took it really well.
He's turned the defender like the defender wasn't there. But it's funny you mentioned that, Colin. Oh no, sorry, it was you, Matty, that was talking about using the defender as a marker. I think I remember seeing something in the Euros, Lukaku talking to someone about how he kind of backs in, and then turns the player. And they said when you do that, when you're as good as I am at it, defender's got no chance. And I was really impressed with the way that Nisbet took the ball kind of side on, but managed to generate a bit of movement so he could turn the player. I thought that was really impressive.
It was good.
It had everything, the control, the strength, and then just the awareness to kind of take the ball and be run into the box and slot it home. Second goal, football porn, John?
I think I described it earlier. It was phenomenal. I remember when I was up in the stand, obviously looking down. If you remember, is it James Scott? I'm going to call him Jimmy Scott. Jimmy Scott comes running because I think, in fact, with losing Murphy, I think Scott had moved out to the right-hand side. And then when Nisbet went off, Scott went and played in the middle. So there's just maybe a wee overlooked point is that there's a bit of versatility amongst the players that we've got playing there and the numbers of positions that they can play that doesn't disrupt the formation and the system that we're trying to play. But Scott takes the ball, I think, from the middle and he plays it way out to the left. And you see the bodies that were over there. It was Scott, it was Boyle, it was Allen. And I remember saying, right, there's no one in the box now to cross into, so you're going to have to work the ball in the middle. And we did it. It was, like you said, it was football porn. Just that total awareness, the running for Boyle, the finish, everything about it was beautiful.
The finish especially, Colin. When Boyle was banging form, and that was a goal by somebody that is full of confidence.
Oh, it was a cracking finish, just to be dink over. Obviously, we were talking to him last week off air and suggested that if he's 1-on-1 with a goalie like that, he should try and just dink it in. So we'll take the credit for that finish. But it was a good goal. I actually thought when I've seen it back, his first or second touch, he maybe knocked it too far ahead of his cell, and he only gave his cell that option because it was that close to the goalie. But it got him away for the defender as well. That might have been able to make a tackle if his touch had been a wee bit better, funnily enough. But he took it really well. And there was a cracking bit of play before it because it was just moving about between the 3 and 4 on 3, and I think so. And that camera, like you were talking about, John, the pitch side stuff is really good. That I watched that earlier on myself. It was really good. It was just a good goal.
900 views and they're all mine.
We'd almost worked a goal like that just before it as well. Like McGuinness has been down in that corner and managed to. Yeah. I've seen it again, and I'm still not quite sure exactly how he managed to get out of the spot that he was in. But
it's
brilliant
that
bit of play.
Swivel and flick that take I can't even describe it. We're going to have to watch it again to try and find the words to describe it. It was just beautiful.
It's like you're almost dragging the ball with your foot to flick it, as you're turning.
Aye. The stuff that we can only dream of.
In my seat here.
Tell you what, McGuinness was excellent on Saturday though. He was my man of the match. I know he was the man of the match at the stadium as well, but I thought he was excellent on Saturday.
He's the master of the look that way, pass that way. Pass. He does it all the time. Looks the other way. But somebody was talking quick bang about how good he is in the tackle as well. McGuinness, he can just get it in. And,
he's hard in the challenge. Like he's, I wouldn't say he's slight, but he's shorter than most football players, I think. Like,
and you know what else he's brought? It's a low centre of gravity, isn't it? That helps with the kind of thing. But the throw-ins, he's the one who moan about throw-ins for seasons, and he's going and taking a lot of throw-ins and turning the defender. Just using the sort of John McGinn sort of lean his arse on a wee bit, sort of style thing. I'm really impressed with him this season.
Trying that something that they teach at the Mirren Academy.
Big arses.
Used to the posterior.
The Paisley arse.
Mind your Mars bar.
He's think he'll be knocking on the door of Scotland call up this season?
No, too much. There's too much strength in this midfield, I think, for Scotland now still.
You think?
I think
I think he'll get hyped up. I think he'll be in it. If fucking Xander Clark can get a call up for Scotland and McGuinness can
Is he
get
a
it
good
right.
goalie though? Is McGuinness a good goalie though?
No.
No.
No, I'm just saying folks start hyping him up. Xander Clark had he had an alright season, but had a really good game at fucking Ibrox when they made it to the Scottish Cup
Did you
final.
see Sports Scene at the weekend? They were talking about a save he made. It's one me and you could have made. He was
Right.
standing there. The boys fucking headed right up and he went like that and knocked it out with his hand. He didn't even have to stretch his arm or anything. And you're going, come on, like.
I think it's the
how you
Teen
try
Wolf
to make this
effect.
a good save?
Have you seen Teen Wolf, Colin? Is that a film you've seen?
I've seen that. I've seen that. Aye.
Aye.
It might be that, but you know what else it is? It's how many other goalies have we got? Scotland. Like the Marshall, who was in for the Euros, is third choice now, I think, at his club.
Aye.
And McLaughlin has got the COVID, and he was at the Rangers because they had their third choice goalie in on
Aye.
Sunday.
McGregor's retired.
So what other goalies have we got? They've got Xander Clark and they've got the guy from Motherwell now as well. That's it. You know what I mean? I think Kenneth is a fourth choice goalie. Put it that way.
You talking about Liam Kelly?
Aye, he's in the squad this
he's a
time.
good keeper. I like him.
Yeah. Craig Gordon, who's just about done, retired. Why he's been there raving about him on Sports Scene as well. And you're looking at his saves going, just for the TV, man. They're just TV
Aye.
saves. And then Kelly and Clark. But I can't think of a fourth goalie that would qualify.
So is this in by default then? Maybe I've never given it that much thought. I just thought, fucking hell, surely we know what the level was Xander Clark's getting a Scotland call up. It bugs me. It's like the boy Patterson at Rangers, the fullback. He's done anything. And he made it to the Euros. I think that's no right. You've got actual right backs who have been playing for years, who surely are.
Well, I've been watching
better
Aberdeen TV a couple of the last weeks there because obviously I've got the stick in. They've got a right back they're raving about now. That's like must be they've put him in the under 20. No, he's not even in the 21s. I think they've picked him in the 19s. So he's got to play in the 19s before he can go to the 21s. And they're going, he's better than O'Donnell. Get him in the first team now. He's playing. Patterson's not playing. He's better than O'Donnell. Why are you playing in the under 19s to justify moving up to the 21s to justify him getting the first team squad?
See, I've no problem if a player's playing for their club, but then he go sticking a fucking Rangers reserve into the national team, especially go Howard, who would have played in that position. There was a boy that never made the squad that had been in all the qualifiers. That
something down south, I think.
Aye, plays for Leeds, maybe.
So Douglas?
Maybe he's not playing for Leeds. I can't think of who it is. Anyway, right. Anything else to add for Saturday's game? I'll go into the talking points.
Nothing for me.
I'm thinking about pies again. Like, did you try any of the new food?
No, because
kiosk?
I went upstairs to my usual seat thinking that the kiosk would be open, and the woman said that the steward said no, that it's just open downstairs. Went down, and the queue was massive. So I sacked it.
They do breakfast muffins. That was like a game changer for me. I was having a look. It was like, so in the West Upper, the kiosks were shut up there as well. We'd have to have gone downstairs. So I never got anything. But breakfast muffins, I thought that's something I would buy. And boy in front of us, we were talking about on Quick Bank, came out with the chips, but they were like wedges, looked like seasoned wedges, looked fucking amazing. And I was tempted to ask him for one. I didn't care him, so that would be weird. I just instead of just sat salivating, fucking imagining what the taste like.
I'm Matthew for Longbangers. I'm just doing a survey.
Doing a survey. got to grade your chips out of 15. But they look raw, I have to say. Right, talking points. Jack Gillies 1875 was the first one. Says Alan sexy back heel. There's my talking point. I think we can all agree it was a sexy back heel. Neil Renton 1. So he's got a 4-pointer here. How do you feel about that? Have folk allowed 4 talking points if they're tweeting us? Or
save sensible there first.
Aye, right. You're our specimen, then Neil. Right, you can if this works, then other folk can have multiple points. First one, can we lay off Jay Wright whenever he plays for Hibs?
Been banging that drum for a while now. Just not just Jay Wright. Stop fucking slaughtering Hibs players. It's counterproductive. Yep.
Jay Wright had one really bad touch in the game early on. It was like more or less the first thing that he did.
Was that the ball that was pelted at him and
Aye,
sort of
and-
between the centre circle and the 18-yarder.
And it's like he tried to lay off or something, I don't know, or just whatever he tried to do just didn't work. But after that, I didn't think he really put a foot wrong.
He was fine.
There was one.
Absolutely fine.
He was, and there was one though that he nearly misjudged the pass to Porteous, right? And I think he just clipped it back to Porteous, and you could feel folk going, "I'm going to go fucking mental if that doesn't go to Porteous." And by the time he got to Porteous, he just fucking smashed it like 60 yards out of play, and you're going. Everybody went, "Oh, it's Porteous, that's all right."
Aye,
But if Dre Wright had misplaced the pass, they were going to go fucking bananas at Dre Wright. It was a weird one. That still
aye.
not sure what Porteous was trying to do there. Actually, but think about that.
Maybe
Do you remember
take folks, but I mind it.
He just volleyed it like out of play.
Aye, it was like a bit. Like number 2, I know he's in his golden years, but how good was Big Daz? So McGregor was outstanding, and he the amount of headers he won, it's fucking unreal.
Just experience, just got him through the game. Didn't put a foot wrong.
Number 3, is there a better player than Martin Boyle in the league?
On current form, probably not.
I wouldn't know. I mean, the wee boy. I watched the Old Firm game yesterday. The Kyogo, is it? He looks quite handy.
Aye.
But I mean, that's it. You're looking at their boys. They've paid. I don't know how many millions they've paid for him, or how much money they're paying him. You know what I mean? In comparison, Boyle's flying as well. He's right up there with them, in my opinion, at the moment.
He's one of the ones who say pound for pound, he's the best there. I would say in the league at the minute. Value for money. Number 4, when are we going to sort the catering out? So I think what the issue was with the catering, but I thought it had been sorted out, unless there's
the queues.
it was the queues that you were referring to, John. Okay, Leon said, when Scott got moved out wide and Alan got on the park, do you think Ross might stick with that at the expense of Murphy?
I think I sort of half answered that already earlier. I think he might do that in some home games against the bottom sort of 8 or whatever the league, bottom 7 in the league. But I can't see it in many other games. I think he'll go with Murphy. Will come back when he's fit.
Aye. Hopefully it's not bad. I think it looked like his hamstring today. Hopefully it's not a bad one. He looked pretty pissed off when he got.
No serious.
Aye.
We said that's not a serious injury, didn't we? 2 weeks ago. So.
Well, when he hopefully, you're right. It's not a serious injury. The only thing I can think of that suggests that it's maybe not. It's maybe just like a wee pull. Maybe he felt something. Is that when he walked off unaided. Legs were moving in all the right directions. Whereas the boy Kamarlik, I think I'd say at the time, it was just poker straight. Like he could not move that leg.
Aye.
And he was, it was the arms around the shoulders of the 2 boys helping him off. So
yeah,
I think if anything, I know we've brought Scott in, and I talked about his versatility before. I think I'd rather see someone that's a bit pacier, a bit more mobile out on the right hand side. So maybe, on the left hand side. So maybe Daniel Mackay in front of Dougie Tripod. I think we've got something really good going there in terms of the 2 fullbacks and the way that they support the 2 boys in front of them, Boyle and Murphy. So hopefully we can keep that going.
Hibs Alan said, I'd like to echo these points. Very good. See when you notice an echo, you have to shout it, eh?
Aye.
Like if obviously know if you were in like a really busy place, but busy places don't echo so much. But if you're going through a wee subway, you echo, you have to say it. Jim said the ineptness of the ref. We've covered that. I did think the referee was shocking. McLean, he referees games like that, but he lets it go. I mind he had us against Aberdeen, kind of in the Shinnie heydays when he was getting away with fucking everything, and McLean seemed quite happy just to let him get away with it. Anyway, St Christopher, guy in front of me in the famous 5 lower went for a pie as soon as the whistle went, returned in the 60th minute. I hope it's teething problems. I think he's been teething problems with the catering. No, the boy having difficulty eating his pie. That is quite a long wait, isn't it?
Why would you wait? You just wouldn't. You're missing like that much of the game to get a pie. Like just wait half an hour and you'll get something away him.
I saw a couple of folk come in 25 minutes into the game, and they had, I think, maybe a drink and a pie each. And if I'd been at the queue 5 minutes, I wouldn't even have got to 5 minutes before. If it didn't look like I was going to make it well in advance of 3 o'clock. I wouldn't just when they bought my arse like I did. I just went up
Yeah.
to my seat. Fuck it.
Aye, same here.
It's mad. I think it's mad that like folk go to football and think they must have to buy a pie at
I
the
was-
game. Like,
This is the
still
thing.
buying it, and they're still
I
ripping you off.
I understand that at lunchtime, so you got your standard meal times, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or your tea, depending on how you describe it. 3 o'clock kickoffs. You've had your lunch already. It's before
Aye.
your tea. So what?
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit bizarre. It's just
Mad.
such an odd time to get a pie
Jackie's
or
done
a
that thing
pizza
where
or fish and chips or whatever.
he's been waiting so long. Like, can you get invested in it? You think, fuck, if I go there now, a bit, it's probably only going to be a couple of minutes. Kind of maybe seen there's like 2 or 3 folk in front of you thinking, I'll get served in no time here. And
Pie
then,
or death.
aye, the person in front of you is then going, oh, that's the wrong bank card I've got. Do you take PayPal? And they're going, no, I didn't. They're going, hold on, I might have another card for me. And they'll get the wallet and everything. You're sitting going, fuck, I've only got to wait for that person to go, or I'll get my pie. It's maybe just done that. Just about fucking, he's committed to it. But
Aye, maybe it's mad though. I mean, you miss so much of the game just to stand in a queue. It's the same folk when I used to sit every week. The laddie went away and got a pizza and a coke, and he was away at 10 minutes before half time. Come back during half time, and you think you missed 10 minutes of the game to go
Aye.
and get that. Crazy, it's crazy. That just in it. And as you say, John, you've had your lunch, yeah? Or if you've not, like all these people can't have no had their lunch. They're standing in the queues, and you're getting ripped off for it. You know what I mean? They're so expensive, some of the stuff. I've not seen the new prices, so apologies if I'm wrong with the new in-house stuff. But last year and the year before, or the last time we were in, it was like £3 odds for a mince pie and that. And you're going, come on, man, they're like
Aye.
less than £1 in the bakers. You know what I mean?
it's
Mental.
no cheaper than pick and mix at the pictures. I suppose it's like going, if you ducked out the film halfway through to go and get your popcorn, you would have did it, you'd sit and watch the film.
Yeah.
Right, Michael Donachie says, do you think 13,000 was a good crowd considering there is 11,000 season ticket holders? Is it the walk-up prices too high now, or are people still apprehensive about COVID?
Well, there must be usage your man is.
Aye.
So presumably there are people like that.
There was a few folk replied on Twitter to say that they were still bothered about going back. Kind of wonder what to take chances of maybe living with somebody who was vulnerable or kind of having to care for folk and that.
There was a thread for a boy on .net who was asking. He was explaining that he was an elderly gentleman, and he's got a couple of health issues, and he was asking if it was safe. He was asking if it was hot water, etc. And like I felt safe. I've taken all the precautions that I can, but I could understand why the crowd was. I was a wee bit disappointed, but when you take into account the circumstances, there's probably going to be a number of people there who haven't gone because they don't feel safe because maybe they've not had the vaccine, or maybe they don't feel comfortable about being vaccinated now and potentially catching the virus, being out amongst greater numbers of people, that kind of thing. It's all entirely possible.
I thought we might have got more in though. First game back proper, after 18 months of no being in, even excluding the people that don't feel comfortable yet. I thought we might have still got more in than we did.
That confidence that I mentioned before, like maybe people, I'll start seeing more and more people at the games and starting feeling more and more confident to go themselves. Like I wonder if, like as much as it was that first game back, full capacity or whatever, maybe there's going to be like there's an opportunity there for Hibs to kind of talk up a second dawn, if you like another time to really get folk in, like back through the turnstiles, maybe even by way of reducing walk-up prices, for example, just to try and encourage more and more people back to the grounds. And I think there was a couple of suggestions as well about the south stand. So people at the moment, everyone's sitting side by side, shoulder to shoulder, but perhaps in the south stand, if it was commercially viable, they could open up the south and have people a bit more socially distanced in there. The folk that do want to go to the game didn't feel safe. They can just kind of come and go at the game by themselves and remain socially distanced and what have you.
That's quite a good shout. That I suppose Livingston never brought many folk either. I mean, I think the Livingston crowd came in their own household bubble. So
I saw a few of them on my train.
keeping safe. So that obviously, if you had a decent away support, that would have brought the attendance up.
I know,
as well.
I know, but still, I think there was a lot of spaces in the home end, which is a bit disappointing considering the weight we've had and how. But then I think we've got that core home support, and that's I don't think It's only derbies and that brings out the extra.
Aye, the extra. I mean, we're sitting top of the league,
Even if
though,
they've
eh?
not been
Do
for
you know?
18 months. I know. The prices were, I mean, it was expensive in some of the seats. I don't know what that.
What was it, 26, 28 quid, something like that?
24 was the bronzes and
Right.
28 was the golds, I think, which is quite expensive, really.
Aye.
Because I'm not sure what a season ticket seat, like if you divide it by, well, you don't even care how many
19
games you
or
get in your
whatever,
season ticket day, because it could be 18, 19 or 20.
Well, less
think-
than that now as well, eh, depending on how you did in your in the draw
Aye, if
for
you never won the
tickets.
ballot.
Aye.
Aye.
That's it.
I think Leon that comes on ClickBang, I saw a thread on Twitter that he'd replied to. I think he said it works out about 23 quid a ticket for the season ticket. So I think that's maybe a message that Hibs can get out, that the best, the cheapest way to watch Hibs is to get a season ticket. And I know that the objection to that would be that not everyone can afford a season ticket and
Or can't go every week.
or can go every
Yeah,
week.
that's true. But I suppose then that's there's breaks in it. You know, like you just pay the going rate for what you
used to have. But a season ticket in the old days, you could afford to miss a couple of games and you would still
Aye.
I think you're about one game now. If you miss one game, you're about breaking even. So there's no much flex in it.
Yeah.
If you're a guy that maybe has to work every second Saturday or 1 and 3 or whatever. So you would think, fuck it, I'll just pay at the gate, and then you go 28 quid just for Livingston. You know what I mean? So it's aye. I don't know what the
That's the
I don't know
thing
what the
though.
middle
Like,
ground is.
I saw that a similar comment recently about like paying 28 quid to watch Hibs against Ross County on a Wednesday night, for example. Like to me, and I appreciate I might be in the minority of this, but the day of the week that you play on, the opposition that you're playing is irrelevant. Like you're a Hibs supporter, like you go and support the team. And I'm not saying that you're any less of a supporter, but
Aye, yeah,
I just find
in so many words.
I find it a wee bit odd, but I find it a wee bit odd.
I Hibs do it because Hibs say it's more expensive to go to a Hearts game as well. So they must see there's a. They're saying it's Hearts you're coming to see, so it's 30 quid. But it's Livingston you're coming to see, so it's 28. So it's not any.
But was that principle. So? The thing with Hearts, was that not a precedent that was set a number of years ago in the Romanov era, where he pumped up the prices in the Roseburn to 30 quid? So Hibs were kind of forced to say, well, we're going to make you pay the same when they came Easter Road.
But no, but I think Rangers and Celtic will be the same. It's category A, isn't it? It's just a category A ticket is this amount of money.
It's just it goes for the demand, isn't it? Like the higher demand for the games, the higher they can charge. It's just the way of the world, isn't it?
But you're right, Hearts were first to do it. It was about 32 or 33 quid. I mean,
aye,
one time.
Scandals, fucking bastards. See, they had put a thing. I saw on Twitter earlier on. Obviously, they had their hand over the day, didn't they? To become fit, and obviously it's the biggest because they have to mention size and everything that they do. Aye. The biggest fan-owned club. It's quite funny. There's somebody put a list of fan-owned clubs on Hibs. But then they did another tweet and they'd mocked up like a flag that a Hibs fan had done. Put "We told you so" TikTok, as if we were wrong. And you're going, we did tell you so, and if you still to this day can't work out the fact that we were right, you're even more fucking stupid than we originally took you for. Because they were like as if to say we were wrong. You're going, what do you think he's been buying the club back for? Like, what do you think happened to trigger that series of events?
I know. That's mad.
And imagine having a day like that, like today, where you're handling it's like a big occasion for them. And the first thing on your mind is talk about Hibs.
Doesn't surprise you though, does it?
No, with them. All right, Mixu99 says, I thought Paul McGinn didn't put a foot wrong. Yes, Livy were limited, but he hardly misplaced a pass. Supported Boyle on the right by getting forward and set up the opening goal with a great through ball. Well said.
Aye.
Agreed.
The only thing I'd say about that was, regardless of the opposition, especially in the Scottish Premiership, you're still playing professional footballers. Like, I don't think there's any, but it was just Ross County, it was just Livingston. Like, he's still up against a professional footballer.
Aye, okay. Gary Duffy said, thought a poor game, but 2 good goals. Defence wasn't too bad. Fair, or I thought it was actually quite a good game. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was poor. It was maybe not as many goal-mouth incidents as you would have thought, but Macy's not had a save to make the whole game. I can't mind him making a single save.
He came and took a cross at the end of the first half. That was all I remember.
It was bang on half time, wasn't it?
Aye. I think the whistle went as soon as he caught it.
I can't remember if it was Raymond said on Quick Bang about the amount of shots blocked by Livingston. Their keeper never made many saves either, but their defenders were chucking themselves kind of stopping it getting quite as far as that.
I was quite taken by Martindale's comments after the game. So he was talking about how folk have got Livingston pegged as a team that are going down this year and blah, blah, blah. And I think I'm right in saying that they're on nil point after opening 4 games.
9 points.
And he'd said that he is 3 points off where he expected Livy to be this season. And I thought that was a really clever bit of spin.
I know.
Guaranteed they would be relegated as well before the game. And then he stuck by that after it. Guarantee it.
He guaranteed that Livy will be relegated.
Won't.
Guaranteed they won't be.
Certainly sell it now, right?
Probably guaranteed the seller wouldn't end up in prison, but how'd that work out for him? Right, 1984. So they probably missed something, but why is Scott Allen not a first choice player?
I think maybe you missed was it cardiomyopathy that ruled him out for a good number of months.
Aye, and then the form of Joe Newell and Kyle McGuinness, etc.
There are some crucial factors at play.
Aye. To be fair, it's like you could put Scott Allen in the first team and not really notice any drop in quality. Or I think he's going to be a player that's really useful for us.
Because he was chasing things down on Saturday as well. He wasn't maybe his all action as like McGuinness in that position, but he was chasing things down. And as a thread in Hibs.net, I don't know if you've seen it. Folk are then obviously debating it in that like the question there. And it must be about every probably 8, 9, 10 posts. Somebody goes, "Are we just forgetting about the back heel on Saturday?" It's like, no, it's been mentioned about fucking 10 times because as soon as the conversation goes away from it, somebody goes, "What about his back heel?"
Just remember that. It was a good back heel though. Mark said, absolutely need to stop having a go at Wright. The abuse he gets every time he's on the pitch helps no one. Have we learned nothing from Doidge and Newell? That's a really good point about Doidge and Newell,
Yep.
Who got slaughtered at first, but folk wouldn't want rid of them now. Well, I think there's maybe one person on Twitter, or maybe 2 people on Twitter who object to the fact that Christian Doidge had champagne. They might want rid of him, but everybody else is
objected to that. But I wouldn't want rid of him.
Aye.
If they just what they're talking to.
Have a word.
And we'll have a word when if he ever comes on here. We'll pull him a bit like Martin Pelly about the dive.
So Christian, talk to us about the Moe Chandon Cup final night, shall you?
The fuck were you thinking?
Think about the optics, Christian.
Think about the fucking optics. See, they'd had on optics, that was the problem. I'd been through them all. There's only champagne left. Ron Burgundy said, dogs poo on the north-south axis, strategic shits, GPS, global positioning shit. And I think that's specifically to do with the Hibs versus Livingston game. I don't think if it's factually accurate either. John?
Sounds like Shortbangers related.
It does.
Definitely going to check it out.
Right, you check it out. We'll come back to that one. Stuart said, should Daniel Mackay be getting more game time?
I think he's got an opportunity now. Depending on the severity of Murphy's injury, I think he's got a really good opportunity down that left-hand side.
What were you calling?
Well, should he? So if Murphy's fit, I don't see why he would start ahead of Murphy. So no. But if Murphy is out, then that's his chance to go and take, isn't it?
Aye.
It's not like the way it's written there. It sounds like they're saying he should be starting. Well, why? Because Murphy's been quite good.
Yeah. I think in the last couple of appearances that we've seen from Mackay, there's been just maybe a couple of wee moments of hesitation. So there was the chance against Raker.
Yeah, right at the end.
There was one, maybe 2 others. I forget who it was that it was against, but he had one opportunity and he put in a really good header towards the end of the second half. There, like it was just that it was a next to nothing chance, and he's gone for it. And that's I think that's going to give him a bit of confidence as well.
That was just on Saturday, there, was it not? The header, he kind of got the end of cross, and
I know, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, the header, it wasn't. There was no hesitation about it. It was, I'm making that header, and I think he forced the keeper into a safe hit. So that's going to be something that'll help settle him down.
I don't think he'll be shy of opportunities at Hibs. I think we paid money for him with a view to developing him, and I think there's any way you would spend that money on a player like that and then no play him, I think he'll go into the squad. It's maybe a case of Jack Ross waiting to find out what happens with Doig as well. Because if you put Doig and Mackay down that side, it's a very young left-hand side.
Yeah.
Doig with Murphy in front of him, you've got Murphy's experience to kind of help Doig through the game as well. So
Definitely.
Maybe an element of that. Right, last point for the evening is Tony Swanson, queues for the pie stand in the famous 5 lower stretched all the way back to the stairs. Needs sorted. Missed 20 minutes of the game to get a pie. No thanks. This happens all season. I'll end up losing weight. It's all cashless in that now. I thought that would have speeded it up too. Again, what the
I couldn't comment because I never stood in the queue.
I'll need to go in for the next one. I'll spend a bit of time observing. I'll use my McDonald's background, obviously, with an appreciation of service.
You could volunteer to help them out.
Well,
because that's what it seems to be. It's like they'll know what to pay you for it, but come and tell me, advise me on how I could get this queued in.
I could get runners on. That's what you need. Somebody taking orders, somebody running for the food. Just keep getting orders. Next, fucking push, fire it away.
I suppose the upper being shut. Because that was shut all the way around. Well,
it was. That would add an impact on it as well. Everybody got to see kiosks. Aye.
But why were they shut upstairs? Like,
I don't know.
They just not have enough staff or something.
Don't know. It might have been there. Maybe no finished kitting them out. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
The season started though.
Aye. I suppose it depends how much needs to be done. If they can. Right, next game we've got. That's all the talking points about. Next game we've got is a derby. So folk could talk about it being the top of the league derby, but it's not really because we're top of the league in Hearts, aren't they? Although one boy, if you saw one boy claimed that they were morally top of the league.
Morally.
We're morally.
Is it goal average he's going? Is he going down in the goal average?
They've had a harder start apparently, so they've had a harder start. So morally they're top. And you're thinking, see, when you've bumped the poppies and everything, you can't really be talking about being morally top at anything ever.
I mean, because it was Sir Tom that paid the poppies off as well, as we all know. And there's no morals. Hibs paid for their poppies.
Aye, no morally top. So no, you're not morally top, and you're not actually top either. You're second. They're making a big noise about being top of the league as well, as they want to do because they're fucking fannies, But
they don't understand the goal difference thing yet. Like they not got a lesson over years ago.
I think there might have been some significant events that might have highlighted it to them.
Roughly 35 years ago.
Aye. What was this? Was it the season they got relegated that they thought they'd won the league in September? Or was it?
That's right.
It was at the start of the slide. They went for September and it was the next again season. Because the season they got relegated, they were bottom pretty much all season, weren't they?
Aye, because it was Levine was in charge in the September when they won it, and then it was Stendhal that took them down.
Aye. Anyway, well done. Right, that's pretty much us for tonight. Get your questions in for Short Bangers. Again, if you're a listener and you've not contributed questions before, then don't be afraid to send something in. If you're a regular contributor, keep sending your questions in as well. We will be having a live Short Bangers soon. We have a sort of tentative date agreed and a tentative venue agreed, which will be Easter Road Stadium. So watch out for tickets going on sale for that. We get quite a lot of messages for folk asking if they could contribute in some way, through payment for the podcast, and we've talked about it for a long time to say we wanted to keep everything free and no stick stuff behind a paywall, or ideally no run adverts, things like that. We have Recast where if you buy anything on Recast, you can that credit comes to us and we split some up with Hibs. But for whatever reason, there's still quite a slow uptake on that. So we have got a coffee page where if you like the podcast and you want to say thanks for it or whatever, you can go ahead and donate. There's a membership option on there as well, which gets you some discounts and stuff if we do merchandise in the future, or even on tickets for live shows.
Kebab pies and all that kind of stuff.
Kebab pies, we might be able to negotiate a favourable rate with Alan's Bakery. It's well worth it anyway. So anyway, have a look at our Twitter page. It's there for the details if you feel like contributing and supporting the podcast. Otherwise, we're back on Thursday, international weekend, so there'll be no quick bang and then we'll be back again the following Monday for Longbangers. Until then, thanks very much.
County line I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.